My name is Will Elliott. I'm a software engineer and tech lead managing a team of 7 software developers, and I'm going to talk about my journey into becoming a software engineer without a computer science undergraduate degree. My story is a strange one where I kind of fell into software engineering and writing code, but I think a lot of developers come from interesting paths and different backgrounds. When I was a senior in high school, I knew I wanted to go to school to become an engineer, but wasn't sure what degree to select. I live in the Midwest, and I applied to 3 regional engineering programs and ended up selecting Iowa State University. During my freshman orientation, I met with my assigned counselor to talk about my courses and if I had a degree designation I wanted to select. In my head, I wasn't too sure, but my dad was an electrical engineer and he was quite successful, so I chose that. And surprisingly enough, I never turned back. My first exposure to programming came in my first semester in EE, where we had to do some basic coding with MATLAB. I had never programmed in high school and had a lot of students in the class that had done some coding basics before, so needless to say, I felt very out of place and not very prepared. This was a continuing theme for the other 2 programming courses I needed to take as a EE. One was Intro to Java and another was Embedded Systems Programming. They were interesting courses, but I wasn't particularly good at it and I wasn't passionate about it. I ended up graduating with my EE undergrad with specializations in semiconductors and power electronics. Both are far cries from software development. My goal was to work for a company in the solar industry and design solar panels, but I graduated when companies were still reeling from the financial crisis in the late 2000s, and there weren't a ton of opportunities. I only had one internship in college, and that was with a public power company working in a coal power plant as an engineering intern. I did absolutely no coding here. I think the closest I actually got was having Excel record a macro for me. Nonetheless, I applied for no software development jobs out of college, and I actually landed my first job 6 months before graduating as a project engineer for a company that worked with electric utilities by providing software to help monitor and control their electric grids. I promise we're getting closer to the part where I actually start enjoying coding and learning more about it. Just one more background piece to cover. So this full-time job I just talked about, I really hated it and wanted to explore other options. I knew power electronics and EE weren't in the cards anymore. And one day at lunch with coworkers, someone mentioned quantitative finance as an interesting and well-paying career. I hadn't heard of it, but I knew that I liked the stock market and really enjoyed the finance class I took at Iowa State, so I decided to look into this path more. Here I learned that the University of Minnesota offered a master's degree in financial mathematics, so I applied and got accepted after I took the GRE and submitted my application. This is where my story finally turns. After reading the courses in the master's program, it mentioned software development, so I immediately had flashbacks to the MATLAB experience I had as a freshman EE and said I'm not going to let that happen again. I had about 8 months to prepare, so I went on the hunt for ways to get up to speed on software development. After some searching, I decided that C and C++ would be good languages to learn, and knowing that if I was left to my own devices, I would procrastinate. So I signed up for a year-long graduate certificate program in C++ programming from the University of California, San Diego. The instruction in the program was great, and I really started to get the hang of the assignments and felt confident that I knew what I was doing. The proverbial switch flipped in my brain a couple courses in when I started to think like a developer. I believe every developer eventually hits this tipping point. Once it's achieved, you become indestructible. Since then, there has never been a doubt in my mind that there isn't a problem I couldn't solve with software. This doesn't mean that it'd be easy, it's just a matter of finding the appropriate solution and developing it. That feeling is powerful and somewhat addicting. Knowing that you can see a problem, hack away on it, and then see the output immediately, my engineering brain loved this. Here begins my continuous learning cycle of software development and computer science concepts from that point in time, which was roughly about 8 years ago to this day. So this part of the story, I have the software development bug. Everything starts to look like a problem I can solve with software. At my project engineering job, I have a list of customer support tickets I need to drive to closure. And I need to continually alert people to follow up with me. So why not write a VBA macro to read the last update timestamp and send emails to the owners if they haven't replied by a certain amount of time? Done. I'm really interested in evaluating stocks, but going to Yahoo Finance to pull prices and performance indicators is a super big pain. So why not write a super hacky Python script to scrape the HTML for the list of stock tickers I'm interested in? Done. I think that having this drive to learn and play with software is a huge factor when you go into an interview with an unconventional background. Your passion for the topic and the things that you have built will shine through and will overshadow the fact that you haven't taken an undergraduate course in data structures and algorithms. Linked lists and binary trees can be taught, but drive and passion cannot. Now that we have reached the aha moment in my story, I'll start to speed up the rest some. But from this point on, I complete my master's degree in financial mathematics, where I took 2 courses on C# programming and applying it to solving option prices in Greeks. Also during this program, I worked towards a Udacity now degree in data science. Here I learned more about Python, R, and data analysis. I continue to automate little tasks here and there at my project engineering job, but jumped at the opportunity to work for a large financial services company as an investment operations associate. The reason why I got this job is because they needed someone to come in and help automate their processes while working on the daily operation tasks. My passion for fixing problems with software and automating things got me this job. Over the next 3 to 4 years, I do various jobs. One as a quantitative analyst and the other as a derivatives trader. But I always am developing along the way and started to work on software tasks within a source-controlled and managed environment with an actual development lifecycle. As time passed, I got put on bigger and bigger projects, and I had less and less time to do daily production tasks like trading or operations, so I moved into a pure software development role, supporting those functions I previously worked for. Let me quick summarize important takeaways for anyone looking to become a software engineer without a CS background. First, you just need to start somewhere. Pick a language and just start coding. Code until you hit the tipping point and start thinking like a developer. Once you reach this, learning a new language is significantly easier than your first. If you want a suggestion, Python is a good starting place. Next, you want to become passionate about the development outside of class or work. If you don't enjoy the act of coding without someone telling you to, it's probably not the right career path. This passion will also serve you well when it comes time to interview. Last, just embrace your path, even if it's unconventional. Knowing how to code is only one part of the equation. You'll still need to understand the business you serve, and the more you learn, the more valuable you'll become. Thanks for sticking around, and consider subscribing if you enjoyed this video and would like similar content in the future. See you in the next one.